Michael here with another Bible class video. This week we are on lesson number 10 in our workbooks. And the title of today's lesson is kind of a sad one. It's called David Sins. Do you guys know what a sin is? That means when we do something bad, when we don't do the things that God wants us to, or when we do the things that God doesn't want us to. So this is kind of a sad story when David made some bad choices. But even when he makes some bad choices, there are some good lessons for us to learn from it. So instead of reading from our booklets today, I want to read out of a storybook from our children's library here at the church building. Just want to remind you guys and your parents that we have all these books here and that you guys are welcome to check them out and use them, and there's some pretty neat ones around here. So, in this story about King David, remember last week Miss Kathy told us about some of the wonderful things that happened as he became king and how nice he was to Mephibosheth. But this week, well, I'll just go ahead and start the story. One day, when David was walking on the roof of his palace, he saw a very beautiful woman in another house. He asked who she was, and his servant said, "That is Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah the Hittite." David wanted to have Bathsheba as his own wife. He did a very mean thing. He sent a message to Joab, who was the captain of his army, saying, "Send Uriah the Hittite to see me." When Uriah had come to the palace, David wrote a letter to Joab and told Uriah to carry it back to the battlefront. The letter said, "Put Uriah in the very front of the battle with the bravest of men, so that he is certain to be killed." Joab did as David had asked, and many of the bravest men were killed in the battle. Uriah died too. Joab sent messengers to David saying, "The enemy shot from the city wall, and many men died. Your servant Uriah died too." Oh, how do you think that made Bathsheba feel? She was so sad. When Bathsheba heard that Uriah had died, she mourned for him. But after her mourning was over, David took her as his wife, and they had a baby son. Because of this sin of David's, God sent Nathan the prophet to tell him this story. Alright, so this is the story that Nathan tells to David. He says, "There were two men in a city. One was rich and the other was poor. The rich man had herds of cattle and sheep, but the poor man had only one ewe lamb, which he loved. A traveler came to the city to be feasted. But the rich man did not kill one of his own herd for the feast. He took away the ewe lamb from the poor man." Oh, what a terrible thing to do. He had lots and lots of sheep, but he didn't want to take one of his own, so he took away the one little ewe lamb that the poor man had to make a feast for this traveler who came into town. Well, when David heard this story, it says, David was angry when he heard the story. He said, "The rich man was wicked. He deserved to die." Nathan said, "You are that man. You had Uriah killed because you wanted his wife for yourself." Oh, and David realized he had done a very bad thing. He realized that he had sinned. He had done what God does not did not want him to do. And so he asked for forgiveness. And we can read in other places in the Bible, like Psalm 51 and Psalm 32. Those are both beautiful things that David wrote after he realized he had done wrong. He asked God to forgive him. And so we can do the same thing too. When we have done something wrong, maybe to our brothers or sisters, or maybe you've disobeyed your mommy and daddy, you can ask them for forgiveness. You can say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I did wrong. Please forgive me. That's what David did. And I'll be back in another video a little later this week to talk more about that, to talk more about how we need to ask for forgiveness and how we need to be willing to apologize when we have done wrong. All right, well, thank you guys so much for being here with us today. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.